Making a game where you bake cursed desserts and fight off gingerbread zombies has been such a wild ride. I'm Curtis, development director here at Red Meat Games, and the team and I have been working on our next title, Sucronomicon.
I've always been a fan of combat VR games. I thought, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool to mix baking with combat and just basically use everything as a weapon? I actually came from a phone game with sort of a similar concept of a town survival where the enemies are all baked creatures. And we just thought, well, since they're all baked creatures, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to bake weapons? We just kept bouncing ideas off from each other until we thought it was interesting to not only just bake your weapons, but to bake in general. Creepy recipes that look monstrous, just that chaotic fun, and then it just kept rolling from there.
A lot of the original inspirations came from Matt as well, because he had a pretty strong vision of what he was kind of envisioning for Sucronomicon. A lot of it was just kind of worked out through restrictions of VR and like how low spec you kind of have to fit everything into. There's been a lot of lighting revision, readability of the level, lighting changes done, the enemies that you're facing have been like completely redesigned, and there's been a lot of work put into these newer versions as well.
As we were working through the prototype and proof of concept, we actually had come up with more level ideas that we can now make a reality in terms of kind of differing the gameplay from the kitchen we have and figuring out how to make new levels that feel like they're in the world but play differently in terms of obstacles and puzzles. We'll be working on new levels throughout. As the levels come online and we can playtest them, we can kind of move on to the next one. What I really love about this is how we took something cozy like baking and mixed it with this spooky, over-the-top chaos, and somehow it just works. It was really interesting to kind of blend those two together. The frantic nature of the cooking games, baking your weapons and fighting an oncoming horde of monsters, especially in VR, where you get to really play with the physics of it all in terms of like throwing and shooting and all those things that are fun in VR, we have to bring into this world of cooking games, which adds different flavor to that genre. And it's been really fun trying to blend those.
Some of the biggest feedback we got was from the baking. So we've been tweaking some of the actions. We put more emphasis on movement with the baking utensils. We're focusing on the combat, tweaking the new controller and keyboard support. You can truly feel the physics when you're swinging a weapon, and you can feel the impact.
I think the art style will be constantly evolving up until we get probably all the levels to a certain degree. But I think where we're at right now with the first one is definitely a good baseline.
The biggest piece of the puzzle that will take a lot of work is the multiplayer component. Drawing on what we learned while we were developing our game Sentience, which is a multiplayer game as well, seeing where online gameplay has gone and what we can do now, finally getting the multiplayer that we've always wanted into the game. To be able to battle and cook with friends is definitely something that we are very excited for.
The biggest hurdle I face is definitely on the creative side of trying to make sure when coming up with like the recipes and the levels, how to blend them perfectly with the combat and the actions of baking. Customization for the players, ranking systems if we're going to have that, or just anything to do with online play is definitely going to be a continuous thing, as well as basically the blending of everything to make sure it's a smooth experience for both single player and multiplayer.
When we were making the prototype, we were aiming for a pure VR title, but as time went on, we want more players to be able to actually enjoy the game. We're actually focusing on keyboard and controller support. We see other games in the same space that have a VR version and a non-VR version that get to play together. It's very exciting to actually see how those two platforms interact with each other.
We're going to be focusing on feedback that we got from demo players, tweaking the recipes, we're going to be tweaking the combat, basically trying to balance everything together as well as the scale of the level itself. I'm most looking forward to seeing how the levels flesh out and the exciting combat to take place within each level. Thank you to our community for everything you guys done, spreading the word, giving us feedback. We're a bunch of gamers ourselves, so we only want to make the best games we can.
Thank you to everybody who checked out the demo, who's been keeping up with us here at Red Meat. I'm looking forward to continue working on Sucronomicon, and I hope that we on the art team can make you an immersive and well-running experience.
We love this game and are working hard to keep adding new content, fixing bugs, and improving Sucronomicon with your helpful feedback. Please follow us on social media and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest news and developments. Your feedback really, really helps us, and together we can bake a better game.